NASCAR penalizes Stenhouse for Sunday night's brawl, and Carl Edwards is headed into the Hall of Fame. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. Yesterday, 3 historic NASCAR figures were voted into the NASCAR Hall of Fame. We will get to that in just a few moments, but first, let me tell you about the NASCAR Hall of Fame. It's where NASCAR history and heritage comes alive. Be sure to check out the latest edition of Glory Road, which features 19 cars on display. Check out the Ford Performance Showcase, which highlights the Ford Mustang next-gen car through its design and innovation. Get behind the wheel of realistic racing simulators. Take part in the Pit Crew Challenge. On Mondays and Fridays, there are guided tours available that'll take you behind the scenes and grant you access to a NASCAR Hall of Fame insider, or you can always explore the hall at your own pace with their new Mobile Hub digital experience. Jimmy Johnson, Chad Knaus, and Donnie Allison, the class of 2024, have their artifacts on full display in the Hall of Honor. From the legends who shaped the sport to the new heroes looking for their own place in the record books, the NASCAR Hall of Fame has something for everyone. Plan your visit today at NASCARHall.com. Thank you to the NASCAR Hall of Fame for sponsoring this episode, and the timing is impeccable. Yesterday evening, the class of 2025 was introduced. First and foremost, Dr. Dean Sicking won the Landmark Award for his incredible work developing the safer barrier. Very well deserved, no doubt. As for this year's Hall of Fame inductees, off the Pioneer ballot, Ralph Moody is in. The Moody half of Holman Moody, a legendary NASCAR race team, legendary owner, extremely successful, truly helped shape the sport. Ralph Moody is in. 2 names get in off the modern era ballot. Ricky Rudd, with 87% of the vote, will go into the NASCAR Hall of Fame next year. Iron Man, the Rooster, too many nicknames to count, a 23-time Cup Series winner, made over 900 starts. He managed to win at least one NASCAR Cup Series race 16 consecutive seasons. He drove NASCAR Cup cars in 4 different decades, won races in 3 of them. That kind of prolonged success is rare in this sport. Think about all the variables: injuries, sponsorship, lack of performance, maintaining relationships. Very impressive career. I think Ricky Rudd, especially when compared to this year's list of nominees, is a very deserving NASCAR Hall of Famer. 87% of the voting panel checked the yes box next to his name. The second driver to get in off the modern ballot is Carl Edwards. That's right, cousin Carl is in. I hope he pulls off a backflip or something on stage next year. 28-time NASCAR Cup Series winner, Xfinity Series champion, retired too soon. He's been on the ballot for a few years now. I think that's at least part of why he only just now is getting enough votes to be enshrined. He got 52% yes votes, which to me speaks to how competitive the field was this year. Harry Gant, Harry Hyde, Jack Sprague, Jeff Burton, Neil Bonnet just missed out this year. All very good, but I will say I don't think this was the strongest class. In previous years we've seen Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus, Matt Kenseth, Jeff Gordon, I would even say Dale Earnhardt Jr. Clear-cut Hall of Famers have been on the ballot. This year, I don't think there was a single obvious Hall of Fame selection. Based on who was available, I think Ricky Rudd makes the most sense. I am a little surprised Carl Edwards got in this time around. I thought they'd make him wait 1 more year. I would have put Harry Gant in. He's 84 years old, seems to be in pretty decent health, but I'd like for him to see himself go into the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Making him wait another year, I'm not sure I agree. I would argue Jeff Burton has a strong case. He's only a 21-time Cup Series winner, had a few top 5 points finishes during his days with Roush, but it's what Jeff Burton has done since he got out of the seat. He's been a broadcaster with NBC. He's the head of the Drivers Advisory Council, still a very important, influential figure. That's the problem with Carl Edwards. Tremendous race car driver, didn't win a championship, though he tied that one year, didn't win a Daytona 500, but still won other crown jewels. Extremely talented race car driver, but he retired early and disappeared. He's done virtually nothing for the sport since then. I think the voters justifiably hold that against him. It's not just drivers and crew chiefs in the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame honors those who, like I said earlier, shape the sport. On track, Carl Edwards has a very strong resume, but off track, almost nothing. He is absolutely a Hall of Famer, no doubt. I would have waited one more year. If I was on the voting panel, I would have voted Ricky Rudd and Harry Gant. You can make a strong case for Jeff Burton. He might get in next year. You can make a strong case for Harry Hyde. The crew chiefs never get the same love the drivers do. He won a championship with Bobby Isaac. I think you can make a case for Jack Sprague. He was one of the early Truck Series pioneers, won 3 Truck Series championships. I'd love to see the numbers. He should be getting some yes votes, if not this year, next year for sure. No issue, really, with Ricky Rudd and Carl Edwards. Like I said, Carl Edwards is Hall of Fame worthy. I would have had him wait one more year. I would have voted Harry Gant in. Carl would have gotten in likely on next year's ballot, but I can't really complain. Overall, I think the voters, for the most part, got this 100% right. It does feel weird, though. I think Carl Edwards is the first driver whose Cup Series career I saw start to finish to get inducted into the Hall of Fame. I started watching NASCAR in 2004. The first race I attended was in 2005. Carl Edwards won. That was basically the start of his NASCAR Cup Series career, so I saw start to finish what Edwards did in Cup. It's weird now to know that he's going into the NASCAR Hall of Fame. It's not often I feel old, but this makes me feel a little old. Congratulations to all of the inductees, Ralph Moody, Ricky Rudd, Carl Edwards, all deserving. Now, let's get to the big breaking news this morning. NASCAR has handed out penalties for Sunday night's scrum at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Most notably, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. was fined $75,000 for punching Kyle Busch. 2 of Stenhouse's crew members have been suspended for multiple races. Ricky Stenhouse Jr.'s father has been suspended indefinitely. We'll touch on that in a moment, but focusing first on Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 75,000 clams. A lot of fans I've seen on social media this morning are very angry, very upset. Shoot, not just fans, even drivers. Daniel Suarez posted, "If it's so wrong, then why is it all over NASCAR social channels? We should be allowed to show our emotions. I don't get it." Hey, that's fair. Daniel Suarez makes a good point. But I should also note that NASCAR is being very consistent. Isn't that all we ever ask for? Consistency. This was the consistent call. Go back to last season. Matt Crafton was upset with something that happened on track during the Truck Series race. He went to the garage early, changed clothes, waited for the race to end, then confronted Nick Sanchez, threw a punch, and got fined $25,000. Let's compare that to Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. was mad about something that happened on track during the race, went to the garage early, got changed, waited for the race to end, confronted Kyle Busch, and threw a punch. So he too got fined. All we ask for from NASCAR is consistency. That sounds extremely consistent to me. NASCAR has drawn a clear line. Fighting, punching even, is okay as long as the 2 drivers just got out of their cars, are on pit road, it's heat of the moment, tempers are high. Ross Chastain didn't get any fines for punching Noah Gragson. Kyle Busch didn't get a fine for punching Joey Logano a few years ago. Austin Hill didn't even get a fine for socking Myatt Snider into next week. Neither Suarez nor McDowell got a penalty for this incident at Phoenix. That is all okay. What NASCAR doesn't want to see is premeditated violence. They don't want drivers getting changed, waiting hours to then go get physical and start throwing punches. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. telegraphed what he was going to do 90 minutes ahead of time. He was telling every reporter in the media center, hey, just watch what's going to happen after the race. And when he did eventually confront Kyle Busch, the conversation wasn't that antagonistic. Like, it was heated, there were emotions, but Kyle Busch, if you watch the clip, was mid-sentence beginning to admit that, okay, hey, maybe you're right, Ricky, when Ricky started swinging. Clearly premeditated, and NASCAR doesn't like that. They've made it clear. They've drawn that line in the past, so I think this call was consistent. I do think $75,000 is a little steep. That may be how it's written in the rule book. Maybe that's the minimum fine the current rule allows. But if you compare this again to Crafton versus Nick Sanchez, Matt Crafton allegedly sucker punched Nick Sanchez. Sanchez's face was bloodied afterwards. Matt Crafton only got $25,000. I know fines for the Truck Series are always going to be less than the Xfinity Series, which is going to be less for the Cup Series. The fines are scaled, but I would consider rewriting the rule book to allow for a wider range of fines. Like, I don't think Stenhouse's punch, which I don't know, was kind of a glancing blow if you ask me. That's not a $75,000 penalty. I would have expected something in the 40 to 50K range. Again, because it is the NASCAR Cup Series. Fines are going to be higher. $75,000 does seem pretty steep. The penalties for the crew guys, Ricky Stenhouse's dad, are all fair. If you're not a driver and you get physical with a driver, NASCAR is usually going to suspend you. They've been very consistent on that as well. And in the case of the crew guys, I think I saw a couple of them at one point had Kyle Busch like kind of in a headlock almost of sorts. Yeah, that's a no-no. Suspension's entirely justified. I want to know what NASCAR is going to do if Richard Childress gets involved. Did y'all see this clip? It was Chris Weaver had a great video of Richard Childress talking, I think at some sort of charity event yesterday. And Richard Childress said, quote, "I don't fight as fair as I used to. I'm a little older. Ricky Stenhouse said he's going to wreck the number 8 car at Charlotte. Well, when I see him, I'm going to tell him if he does, I'm older, but I've just changed my style of fighting. He'll carry a rough ass beating." Oh my gosh. For the record, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. did say on Corey LaJoy's Stacking Pennies podcast that he's not going to crash Kyle Busch. This incident is behind him. So I don't anticipate any on-track drama next weekend. But shoot, if Richard Childress gets in Stenhouse's face, starts trying to get physical, I don't know how that would end up. That would be a sight to behold. How would NASCAR react? Can you even imagine? Golly. That's all I've got for this episode, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe for more NASCAR content day in, day out. You won't want to miss any upcoming episodes. And a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters as well. I'll be live tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on the Icebergs YouTube channel, talking all things Charlotte, North Wilkesboro, Indy 500. Hope to see you there. Have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday, folks. I will catch you again soon.